I do believe that my personal background does speak well to this district. I really do think that I have a great chance of winning. But also to your point, one of the competitors for the Democratic nomination has actually voted against Bitcoin and blockchain in the state of Oregon. So there's a really real chance that if I'm not the party's nominee, that she might end up going to Washington and then be another anti-crypto candidate on side the House floor. That is not just a Democrat and Republican fight. This is also going to be a crypto and anti-crypto.
Welcome to Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel, where we explore projects in decentralized finance that are innovating and driving our mission of financial freedom forward. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, and review Mission DeFi and spread the word by posting a tweet to the show. All opinions expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests are their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Black Knox, Material Indicators, or any other affiliated organizations. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests as an inducement to make a particular investment, follow a particular strategy, or become involved with any project. A project being featured on the show is not an endorsement of that project in any way. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Now, here's Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel.
I am really excited to have Matt West on the show today, who is running for Congress in Oregon's District 6, brand new district. So that brings all kinds of interesting things into running for Congress. But I'm excited because number one, Matt is a crypto native, but number two, and he can bring that to the trail. But number two, because I think he has this great perspective running as someone who is pro crypto and part of our world. On what it's like out there talking to people, and even if crypto comes up, and how he actually can position himself, because for the most part, the average Joe isn't necessarily as concerned about it as we are. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. If you could, give us a little bit of your background, how you ended up in crypto, all those good things, we'd love to hear about that. And then we'll dive into the nitty gritty of running for office.
Absolutely. Thank you. My background is crypto specific. Is that I got involved shortly after the launch of the white paper for Bitcoin. I was one of the few people who started doing some hobbying mining.
Wow.
That was shortly near the beginning, but then I fell off for a bit. And once after about a week of mining or so, I'm like, I have all these imaginary points. So then I just left it alone for a bit. I was reintroduced to it again in 2013.
You didn't throw the hard drive away, did you?
I didn't throw it away, but I still don't know where it is.
Oh my God.
I know. I have unearthed so many different hard drives, and it's a whole thing.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That immediately crossed the
Trust me, I have had that reaction multiple times, including the 2013 peak, the 2017 peak. And right now I'm just it's like, all right, but I got back into crypto in Bitcoin in 2013 when I got myself a ASIC miner, one of the very few Butterfly Labs ASICs that actually did get shipped to people, which is a whole story. You can go Google on your own. It's a lovely time. But so I got mining there, and I had it deposit to my Coinbase account every day or so as I mined enough coins. That's when I was in grad school. I was researching my PhD in renewable energy, chemical engineering. And then I have been active in the space ever since. I've been on Bitcoin Talk forums. I saw Vitalik post his theory for a programmable smart chain, which he named Ethereum.
Nice.
I've been just an investor, activist, proponent for a while, but in 2020, during the pandemic, I taught myself a new skill and I learned, so I was programming in Solidity. What happened was in DeFi summer when Yearn Finance launched their token and their farming, I was really interested. So I was one of the first miners, or liquidity miners rather, yield farmers of Wi-Fi. And I had some decent amount there. But
Wow.
once they started talking to the community about other strategies for their vaults, I got really engaged on the forums. I started posting a bunch of ideas. A current colleague, reached out to me and said, "Hey, I really like your idea. Would you like to join up and do it together for the ETH Online Hackathon?" Which we did. We won the Yearn first place category for our Hedgic vault. And I've been involved with Yearn ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That's really cool, man. I love that you taught yourself Solidity and then had massive success with what you built. That's brilliant.
Thank you. It was everyone during the pandemic tried to keep their mind flexible. And I just, the nerd that I am, decided, let's go learn Solidity.
Oh, and I was wiping down groceries while you're learning Solidity, and I'm not fulfilling my dream of becoming a developer after too many years. Good for you, man. That's really cool. Prior to your involvement with this project, what were you doing professionally?
Oh, of course. Thank you for asking. I was working at Intel for the last 7 years at their high-tech R&D facility where we designed the manufacturing process for all their future products. So the people down in California do the pen and paper schematics, which they send to us here in Oregon, and we determine how to turn the pen and paper schematics into actual microprocessors. Wow. So that was my job.
Nice. Are you still doing that?
I'm currently on sabbatical.
Nice working at a big company where you can go on sabbatical to run for Congress.
I know. Like people who go on sabbatical, like, I'm going to Europe, I'm going to Australia, New Zealand, I'm running for Congress. I teach myself Solidity during the pandemic, and now I run for Congress during the
incredible. So tell us the story of that decision, right?
Oh, yeah.
And have you ever been involved in politics, volunteering, running for anything?
I am a first-time candidate. I've been involved in the political arena for quite some time as a volunteer, activist, a donor of time and money and energy. But it was one of those things where it kept feeling like no matter what I was doing, it just wasn't making any real impact. And so I sat around one day, and so many people did during the pandemic. They reevaluated their life's course because you're stuck at home every day. Every day is the same. People are leaving their jobs. So I thought, what do I want to do? Where can I make the most impact? And I came down to the conclusion that with this brand new district, running for office might be exactly that. So I reached out to 314 Action. They're a national group that works to get scientists, engineers elected to government offices.
Wow, that's cool. That's so cool.
They put me in contact with, they're fantastic. They've existed for a while now. Wow. I've been, as soon as because 314 Action write Pi, they're super nerdy. I remember seeing that and being excited, and I've been a donor for like years now, just in that kind of monthly passive donation. And then when I just called them up one day, I'm like, I'm thinking I might run. I turned a 30-minute conversation into an hour and a half with one of their staffers. And they put me in contact with a whole bunch of people, including my staff who I have now. And it's a real campaign.
I had no idea that organization existed, and I'm so very excited that it does exist. So they really helped you with resources. I'm assuming because they've done this so many times, they're helping you with the ropes of getting through it. Yeah.
They put me in contact with media consultants, digital TV, mailing. They put me in contact with a polling firm. They gave me resumes for my staff, including my campaign manager, my finance people.
Wow.
Yeah, they have been helping me the entire length of the way. And if it weren't for them, I will give them this due shout out. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here today.
That's fantastic. Having worked in politics the first 8 years of my professional career managing campaigns, it is really cool that you have a team in place at the start rather than scrapping together a team as you go, which is a total nightmare. They have already done a phenomenal job for you. That's fantastic.
They're all fantastic. They truly are.
So anybody in your family say you're insane and nuts, and what are you thinking?
I believe the answer to that is a resounding yes from some of whom are, like, you're crazy. Why are you doing this to yourself? I have a few members of my family who don't necessarily agree with me politically. So,
oh yeah,
you're just crazy for what you think.
They're contributing to your opponents.
Exactly.
When you get in the general.
I hope not. I hope they keep me separate from that. But I think most of the people in my family who knew that I was doing this were excited, but not overly surprised. I've never really been someone to be quiet. I tend to be outspoken about things. So
yeah,
they're like, you're crazy, but yeah, I see it.
Yeah, we expected this eventually. So you're running as a Democrat.
Correct.
And I'm assuming there's a primary first.
Yep.
And there's probably a lot of established politicians trying to get into this new congressional seat. Yeah. Do you feel like that's an advantage for you right now, this time?
I like the way that you're spinning that. I do think that it does have a lot of advantages. For example, not only am I an outsider, but I'm also running an entirely people-powered campaign. So I'm not accepting corporate PAC money. A lot of the established politicians in here can't say that they've done that their entire political career.
Good.
And I do know a lot of people are very frustrated with politics, as they have been for a while, myself included, which is why I'm now jumping in the race. So I think it's an asset. I truly do.
Yeah.
We have some extra legwork to do to introduce myself to the community.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, I do think it's an asset.
Yeah. And I think, look, at the end of the day, your biggest battle out of the gate is name recognition. And then you can have people figure out if they like you or not. So that's the hardest part. I always laugh when people say yard signs don't vote, but if nobody knows who you are or knows your name, then now, of course, you have a good name, so that works too.
My name is incredibly generic, though. So
yeah,
if you Google it for years, you'd only see a Christian singer, which I promise you, I'm not that person.
That's crazy, because the other guy I battled for top search results is a Christian singer.
There you go.
Name. What the hell?
There you go.
That's absolutely nuts. That's crazy. All right. I think it's important. One of the things that I think we've all been noticing as the DeFi and crypto space has awakened, or at least was able to pick up the phone and make a phone call and send an email or a tweet at their congressperson, is that we have a long way to go for people to understand what's important here. And so I've actually kind of talked with and aligned with people who I probably would never have aligned with on the political spectrum. Especially a lot of Bitcoin maxis. But the cool thing is there's a segment of this population that gets how important not worrying about the partisan backing here is, right? And it's very interesting to me to see the response of people. I've been touting Erica Rhodes quite a bit because I know Erica. I was an Andrew Yang supporter, and so I know her from that campaign. And so I get these people when I tweet about her who say, I'll never vote for a friggin' Democrat, screw them. And I'll say, look, you don't have a choice in this district, right? In this district, it's going to be a Democrat. It's a plus 19 Democrat district. You can either have the guy that hates you and wants to burn you, or you can have the woman who supports you. In your case, I know this is a brand new district, so have you guys been able to get a grasp on the data on what the demographics and the political intentions are?
Yeah, there's some preliminary data, the general breakdown of the census data for one thing, but in terms of political orientation, it is a Democratic leading seat, but not one that's so overwhelmingly Democratic that there won't be a actual real general election.
Right.
It's about a D+3 or D+7, depending on who you talk to. So nice, but not rock solid, not
right
in lockstep, especially for a midterm election, which always has to go against the incumbent party. But I do believe that my personal background does speak well to this district. I really do think that I have a great chance of winning. But also, to your point, one of the competitors for the Democratic nomination has actually voted against Bitcoin and blockchain in the state of Oregon. So there's a really real chance that if I'm not the party's nominee, that she might end up going to Washington and then be another anti-crypto candidate on the House floor. This is not just a Democrat and Republican fight. This is also going to be a crypto and anti-crypto fight.
Yeah. Look, my whole life, I haven't been a single issue voter. And I certainly have in Senate races some issues I'm going to have with some folks who actually are pro-crypto, but I have a really hard time imagining myself sending some money to. But on the congressional level, I think it's really important for this community to start to understand how important it is, and to also understand that you're not going to be out there running as the crypto candidate in your district.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. I'm not going to hide that background, but I'm not going to knock on everyone's door being like, hi, I'm the cryptocurrency candidate.
Yes. That's not the winning issue.
A lot of my demographic in this district is on the elderly side, and I have to do a lot of explanation onto cryptocurrency. So really, the winning strategy here is to talk to people about what their concerns are and meet them where they are, not educate them about something new. I can do that once I'm in office.
I think that's a good idea. So you're not going to be sending every voter a West 6 token and then knocking on their door and helping them set up a wallet. Is that?
I like where your mind is. We might actually have something there.
He's sending you free money.
No, we can't do that.
No, you can't.
Clear, we can't do that.
He's sending you a worthless token, an NFT. There you go. So I think that's one of the things I think is difficult. And as you've spent a good amount of time in the last several weeks engaging with the crypto community, and obviously you have to be out beating the streets as well. But what has your response been like? Have you had a real mix of, yeah, I'm never going to support you, and oh yeah, so cool, thank you for running? Are people realizing what this is like and what you have to do, and that they would never do it?
That's a great question. I would say that the response from the community has been almost entirely overwhelmingly positive.
Nice.
Obviously, there are a few people who it happens. You're never going to get 100% of the people to agree on 100% of the issues. Right. But I'm really touched by how much the community has been vocally supportive of our campaign and of not just the cryptocurrency issue, but my background as a core developer for the Yearn as a strategist. So it's been really great. And I definitely would say that there is a thing where we do have to start telling them what a campaign looks like. So we have been doing a little bit of like, I'm running for Congress. I'm really excited to get out there. I am in this one district. You may not be in this district, but that doesn't mean you can't support me. Right. So there's a lot of that going on, but it's been really supportive. And I'm honestly very touched to be able to be supported by this community.
When you talk to folks, are you able to, I think people understand the risk, but I think there's a segment of our population, meaning crypto population, that is hands off on politics, right? They believe to be involved, to vote, much less contribute or run, is evil. So,
right.
I don't know that any of those can be saved, although I've seen some that have said and announced in the past that they would never get involved. They're actually getting involved. And that's some big names. And that's exciting to me. I think there's a lot of potential. But can you run through for the crypto community what as the big risk right now? And for me, it's a very immediate thing. I'm terrified of what's coming and us losing momentum from a political perspective. What do you see and hear and are worried about from the crypto perspective?
The real aspects that the community has to worry about is that a lot of the people currently in the halls of power don't really understand what we do. They hear crypto, they think cryptocurrency, they think ye olden days of Silk Road. They don't realize that now we're talking about digital art. We're talking about not just blockchain, but Web3, fully decentralized applications and decentralized organizations like Constitution DAO, doing that very close to doing such an outrageous thing that people never would have considered doing just a year or two ago. It's truly a fascinating time to be engaged in this space as we become more aware ourselves of what this emerging technology and community that we're building is capable of. But when we're talking about the people who are currently in power, they don't understand all that. They don't have that working knowledge. And generally people are afraid of what they don't understand, what they don't know. And so if there's one thing that we've seen over the last couple of years, the country has always had a kind of, when we're talking about the government's perspective, an anti-cryptocurrency bent. There's been under attack multiple times. We've seen China do a ban for like it entirely. India's considering it. The United States has considered a ban multiple times. And I think the community's gotten a little bit complacent because every time there's one of these laws, it fails in the United States, which is fantastic. Right. But I've been seeing people say, oh, it'll never pass. Oh, it'll never stick. And it's like, yeah, it didn't before, but they keep trying. And one of these times, it's gonna stick. They'll figure out the exact magic sauce to make it stick and make it land, and then just completely blow up everything that we've been building the last decade and a half. Years. It's really it's really frustrating trying to like make that message and make that case, but it's real. They're always going to keep coming for our industry, and if we don't stand up and do something to protect ourselves, we're just letting people who don't understand what we're about make rules for us, and we can't have that. We absolutely need to have somebody on the inside of Congress who is not just a defender, but a native who understands these details innately, because that's the sort of issue where we're going to see actually smart regulations. I know regulations is a kind of a dirty word for a lot of people in the space, but without any regulation, we'd still be having lead in our beer, which, I mean, some regulations are...
I see where your priorities are. Wait a minute. He doesn't want lead in our water. He mentions lead in our beer.
I do mention lead in your beer. It's actually, it's a whole thing. The short version is that it actually makes it creamier head. So it was an intentional additive for years.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You realized
I shouldn't have.
No, it's totally fine. This is just the nerdy side of me who loves.
That's a great line. Yeah, but I mean, that's actually a real attention getter. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good.
But that's the thing, is like smart regulations will actually not just help people and keep them protected from clearly bad actors, keep our industry stronger. There's a lot of institutional investors out there who want to get involved in the space. They see what we're building, they see the yields that we're generating, and they want a part of that, because right now a savings account gets you what, 0.5% APY?
Right.
Basically nothing, literally less than nothing for inflation.
Yeah.
But they
had the bank fees
involved because the regulatory aspects aren't there. So they need that guidance, and that guidance needs to be crafted by people who understand the space and want to promote it, which is why I'm running this race.
Yeah, and I think obviously, being an educator, I'm a lifelong Democrat, so I might as well not dance around it. We have a severe education issue in our party. We have the more progressive wing of the party, or the progressive wing of the party, who are our opponents, and we have a mix in the middle and to the right. And I actually think the biggest threat to our industry is the left side of the party. I consider myself more of a centrist, but I've been in that side of the party a good chunk of my life. I have you thought about the position you're going to be in, right? When you're in Congress, of this dance you're going to have to do. Over here, Ted Cruz is your best friend, and over here, AOC is your enemy. That, to me, that makes my brain hurt, really. I know Ted's in the Senate, don't get me wrong, but it hurts me. Like when I see Ted Cruz posting, and I agree, the world is going to stop spinning on its axis. And
I totally agree with you. The one that I keep coming back to help maintain my own sanity is the broken clock argument. It's like, well,
good.
But in reality, crypto should not be a partisan issue. We're talking about a technology that has the potential to revolutionize our lives and the internet as we know it. And that shouldn't be partisan. So I think we really need to have allies on both sides of the aisle if we really want to protect this industry, which is why I think organizations such as HODLPAC are doing really great work in this area, because they're not focusing specifically on left versus right. They're specifically focusing on crypto and protecting crypto. So
absolutely. Look, I actually think that can be a strength for crypto, is that we're intermingled amongst all kind of stances, positions in the spectrum, the political spectrum. And I think that's great. I find it frustrating that people who I know, if they were educated about it, would understand the empowerment it does for the people that they think they want to protect. And it's disappointing how little they understand that the current system actually harms the people they want to help. And it's a little brutal. And you'll be labeled a libertarian before the campaign's over, I'm guaranteed. So
ouch, my soul. No, and once like the way that I like to keep coming back to this is that my last 7 years in my entire profession has been in engineering. And in engineering, it's problem is presented to a group of people, and we have to sit around the table and figure out the best way to address that problem. That should be how government works, especially the legislative branch. So I think I'm going to bring that sort of energy to Congress as well. And you might have the wrong letter in front of your name or your district. You might have the wrong color lapel pin, but I don't care about that so long as we can come to an agreement on things that will, make people's lives substantially better. I'm willing to work with anyone who's willing to work with me in good faith.
I love the engineering solving problems line. I know it's not a line. I know it's genuine. Don't get me wrong, but I always think of things as framing. And that's actually
experience then.
Yeah, totally. I think that's actually brilliant because it puts you in a position of navigating the extremes with being seen as someone who's actually going to be practical about solutions rather than partisan about solutions. I think that's a leg up. In the primary, maybe not as much, but definitely when you get into the generals. That's very cool. I like that a lot. I think it makes total sense.
Thank you.
What, from your perspective, how much money do you guys think you need to raise to be successful, primary and then general?
Overall, for the primary, we're expecting that we need to raise a couple $1 million.
Okay.
The general, obviously, add on more millions of dollars.
Yes.
This is the real issue whenever we start talking about running for Congress. Like whenever you're talking about your local school board, they don't need to do these same sort of math games because they can make it by knocking on every single door.
Right.
A congressional campaign, there is no way that I can knock on all 800,000 constituents' doors between now and May.
Not gonna happen.
Even if they all are home and the time that I knock, there's still just no way. The area is too big.
Yeah.
So
you're an engineer after all. You've thought about it.
I have. At the end of the day, what I need is to be able to reach people where they are with the methods of engagement that they accept. Like right now, the people in my district, not all of them are going to be on Twitter, especially not crypto Twitter. They're not all going to be on Telegram. It's going to be the door-to-door operations, the field operations. TV is the big one, direct mailers as well. And those all cost money to hire the people to make the ads or to go door to door and make the knocks.
Yeah.
So that's it. If we want to win this race, which I truly believe that we do want to win it and can, it's going to take millions of dollars. And that's where the community comes in. I cannot win this race without the help of the community that I've been engaged with for a decade plus now. And if we want to defend our entire community, let alone the $1 trillion industry that we built from nothing in the last 10 years, we absolutely need to donate to campaigns like mine. And here's the good part. There's a few different campaigns around the country that are pro crypto. I'm the only actual crypto developer, and my race is going to be a lot cheaper than anyone else's because there's no incumbent. The media market is cheaper here than in other places in the country.
I like it.
When other races might take $5 million to move the needle a little bit, with $3 million, we've won the primary, like just out of basically guaranteed.
That's beautiful.
Obviously, I still have to do the door knocking on the doors. I still have to do all the engagement with my constituents and be there and win them over where they are. But I will be able to actually get my message and my name and my voice into the houses of everyone in my district. So I'll at least be aware of who I am and what I stand for. And that's going to make the difference when they go into the voting booth.
Look, I think that's when you consider the APYs of 20% to 20,000%, this community investing 5 million and you getting through to the general and winning, or 6 million or whatever it is a really damn good investment. Frankly, it's a damn good investment across 50 candidates, and realizing how critical it is. One of my frustrations is there are very few of the biggest influencers and the biggest investors in this space who are getting as active as I'd like to see them. HODL coffers should be full. Like they should have so much trouble managing the money coming in right now. It's just nuts. Like,
yeah,
you have built an industry that has made you hundreds of millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars or whatever the number is. And if you're not giving to the super PAC that's going to do what needs to be done to help people like Matt West win, then you're just a bad business person. Because it's just, from a business calculation, it makes sense. It's just like every other industry that invests in congressional representatives. And I'm saying that in a very polite way. They invest because it's in their best interest in their business. And it's in our best interest to defend our industry, to invest in people like you, is really the way I think it needs to be. thought of.
I really do appreciate that. And I agree. It's one of those things where with the 6050I provision, which, let's be real, did get enacted, it
Right.
needs to be overturned, which is one thing that I'm going to do if it's not already done by the time that I get there. These are things where it could completely cripple our industry. If you currently have $100 million in crypto and you want to have that still be, what is that, 9 digits?
Yeah.
Like that. If you want to keep those 9 digits, you've got to invest in some insurance. And that's what people like HODLPAC, that's what thing like my campaign, we're the advocates in order to make sure that you can keep all of the gains that you've received over the last years and keep our community still being able to say GM to each other every morning and just be surprisingly warm and fuzzy organizational group of people. It's really an issue of, we need people to stand up and put their weight behind these causes, because if we don't make people in Washington hear us and listen to us,
right,
we're not going to be able to have this conversation for much longer. It'll be shut down. We need to raise donations from American individuals in no greater than $5,800 increments. That's the law. $2,900 for the primary, another $2,900 for the general. If you're married, you can each do your own.
There you go.
It's really, that's the thing, is we need people to step up. We need people to donate to. Right now, Washington does not really have too much of a reason to listen to our concerns. We don't historically, as you mentioned, we're historically apolitical, proudly so. So people don't vote, they don't volunteer, they don't donate, and they're proud of that fact, which is historically, I can see where you're coming from, but right now when we're under siege,
not good.
No, exactly. And also historically, we don't donate our money. So if you're not allowed, if you don't vote, if you're not loud on Twitter or the actual public square, and if you don't donate, the politicians, you're not someone that they can engage with because they have no reason to.
That's right.
They're not going to win your vote. They're not going to win your dollars. So they're going to go talk to the other people who maybe hate us, who maybe want to shut us down because we're all these upstarts with a bunch of money. And where'd you get it? Clearly from bad sources. If we want the folks in Washington to actually listen to us, we need to make them. And the best way to do that is gotta donate. If we can raise $2 million, $3 million from the cryptocurrency community alone, I guarantee you they will pay attention. All of a sudden, it'll be news headlines, everyone listening to us, they'll become engaged in crypto Twitter. It'll be a thing because they suddenly will see a community that wants to have its voice heard and is willing to put their weight behind it to ensure that it is. Like, that's exactly it. The banks are fighting us. We absolutely have to fight back. I need the help of the community. I can make it, but I need your help.
Yeah, and absolutely, people, whatever your motivation is for being in crypto, whether it's mission-oriented, financial freedom, to become a billionaire, I don't care what it is, whatever the motivator is. And if it's all three of those, look, we all want to be wealthy. We all want people to have financial freedom. But at the end of the day, you won't get it, or you're moving out of the country if people like Matt West don't get elected. So it's really critical. It's a carrot or stick with Congress, right? It's either you're inducing them with contributions or you're beating them because you're supporting opponents or you're using a PAC like HODLPAC, super PAC like HODLPAC to attack your opponents. We need to be able to do both. It's an ugly, dirty business. We shouldn't have people like Matt West having to do the ugly side of it. So contribute to Matt and then contribute to HODLPAC so HODLPAC can do the dirty work. Matt, what else besides crypto is motivating you to take on this painful, horrible journey?
Yeah. So I will say that I do like the work. I just got to be clear about that, but it is a slog.
Can I interview you again in 10 months?
You absolutely can. There's a very real chance that will be a different response. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying meeting people and hearing their issues and concerns.
Of course.
The biggest one is, as it's been for my entire life, climate change. I went to grad school to research renewable energy. It's near and dear to my heart.
Nice.
I thought that I might get a job in renewable energy. Didn't pan out that way. So this is one of my ways to get back into that space. If I can't get a job doing it from the research side, then let's move over to the policy side. So that's my main motivator in terms of just where my heart and soul has been for the last couple of decades.
That's cool.
I'm extremely excited to get on the inside of Congress and actually be able to start making rules and regulations that will actually address it at the source of our problem, and just be able to use the actual scientific principles to pass laws and legislation that make sense.
Nice.
Once we're talking about that, then there's all the other democratic core issues. The ongoing pandemic. There's so many different issues in American politics right now where we have a flood of misinformation. Whether we're talking about climate change, people still say that it's not real. We're talking about the pandemic, people still say that things like there are microchips in the vaccines. Making microchips for a living, I can tell you there are none. They are way too big to fit into those little needles. And there's just a constant swell of misinformation everywhere.
Yeah.
As a scientist and engineer, that is extremely frustrating.
I can't
People are
imagine.
hurting right now, whether we're talking about having their wildfires, the hurricanes, all the displacement caused by global warming, including like the heat dome that we had here in Oregon, where we got to 116 degrees in Portland, which is
brutal.
It's the higher than your all-time high in Miami.
That's incredible.
So
wow.
Yeah, it was 1 degree shy of Las Vegas's all-time high record.
Wow.
We could not handle it. Our streets were melting, bridges were sagging. It was a real issue.
That's terrifying.
I have an air conditioner. My apartment was 94 degrees on the inside because my air conditioner was not strong enough for that sort of
overcome that level of heat.
Exactly. And it was a real fun time. Outside of that, we just need someone with a scientific mindset in Congress to help combat all this misinformation, to help drive ourselves to rational ideas and rational regulations.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing, is seeing all the pain, all the struggles that we've had over the last couple of years, and how so much of that has been fed by misinformation about people getting the vaccine, about whether or not the election was fair or rigged. So much has been just so much pain from simple misinformation.
Here's what I'm thinking, and we can save this for after you win, but what I'm thinking is the arguments to people that oppose us on the left, that are on the left that oppose us, are things like Klima makes a compelling story, and people building a platform for UBI makes a really compelling story, right? The ability for people without government funding, the ability for people to build their own perpetual incomes. Imagine if corporations put 10% or matched 10% of everything you made into a stablecoin yield farm making 25% annually. So what's interesting is I think as more projects like Klima get built, that you'll have an awesome argument and stance to be able to make to people who are on extremes, right? That, hey, this is what this empowers, right? These systems that we've built actually allow these problems to be solved, and you don't have to fight for government money to do it, right? You can actually endorse these things, and all you have to do is let us do what we need to do. Get out of our way.
I agree. What I like to say is that, crypto is like a big tent sort of thing. It's a classic political idiom, but we've got people who are about Austrian Bitcoin maxis, Austrian economics. On one side, we've got clean energy, carbon bonding, and UBI on the other side, which are two diametrically opposed ideas in terms of the current political landscape. But they have a home in blockchain and in Web3. And what I like to say to people who insist that green energy and climate change are inherently non-compatible with blockchain and Web3 technologies due to what they've been told is the first thing I bring out is this is an emerging industry where brand new technology optimizations are happening all the time, especially when we look at the Ethereum blockchain moving post-merge to proof of stake system, where we're expecting a 99.95% reduction in energy usage. That is a wild amount of reduction in energy usage.
Amazing.
We're going to maintain, if not increase, our network stability. We're going to massively drop the energy consumption required. And we're going to institute a deflationary economic system while still maintaining rewards for those who are staking and securing the network. Yep. It's a massive, mind-boggling win that we couldn't have conceived of a couple of years ago. I was actually mining Peercoin, the first proof of stake.
Wow.
I bet big on Peercoin, and shucks. It's like I was right, but eventually. Ethereum moving to proof of stake is
It's great.
It's been a huge thing for me. I'm extremely excited to see what this community can continue to do. And I think it's going to put a nail in the coffin of the argument that this is inherently anti-environmentally friendly.
Yeah. But if anybody doubts your true motivation to run, here's a guy who has successfully become a Solidity developer and could be making huge money. And he's going to run for Congress. He's totally committed to this thing. He's completely in, totally in. Awesome, man. All right. I want to wrap up. I know I have 400 other things to do. I always ask one question at the end of my interviews relative to crypto, but now I'm going to ask you two questions. You get a special division of this question. The first question is, who in the crypto space do you really look up to, think is having a profound effect on our space, but potentially on the world? Or do you just think it is doing great work and may or may not get credit for it?
That's an excellent question. I've always been, as a Yearn developer, as a Yearn strategist, I've got to throw a shout out to Andre.
Nice.
The man embodies the idea of move fast and break things.
Yeah.
And it's always fascinating to see what he comes up with, and having Yearn be a decentralized organization for a year plus since it was eventually, like, during DeFi summer, really is a testament to some of the things that he builds and their lasting power. So absolute love for that, man. Also, Vitalik, the man really came up with something ingenious, not just in the programming space, but also in EIP 1559. And the fact that he donates frequently, he donates a lot of his money frequently to various charities. Yeah. One of my favorite being Give Directly. Once again, obviously showing my colors here with a universal basic income charity. I've been a proponent of them, a supporter of them for a long time too. So I'm very much impressed always to see the work that he does, the advocacy he does for not just the technological improvements, but also just for humanitarian efforts. So
that's great. That's
awesome. Two answers.
Okay, now out of crypto.
Okay. Out of crypto, was not expecting this question.
I was going to force you into just politics, but I'm going to let you go broader with that.
No, I appreciate that. I would say that somebody I really look up to, obviously one is Senator Wyden. This is a man who, when we're talking politically and crypto politically, this is somebody who is from my home state, who did not really know a lot about cryptocurrency when these infrastructure bill provisions were coming out, but was willing to listen to the community and was willing to work with us to find language and structures that would work.
Right.
Anyone in the political space who does not know something is willing to admit that they don't know something and willing to learn from those who do.
And then champion it.
Exactly. That is a
powerful
right there.
That's awesome.
Most people in politics are trained to never admit ignorance in an issue. It makes you look bad.
Yeah.
But this is a man who is willing to put that aside and actually listen to folks. And yeah,
that's great. How should people reach out to you?
Number one issue would be you can go to our website, www.mattwestforcongress.com. Right. There's a link there where you can donate either in cryptocurrency or in dollars. We also have a form where you can get added to our email series about keeping in touch with the campaign.
Good.
Outside of that, my DMs are open on Twitter. Please feel free to send me a DM there. Those are the two biggest ways to get in touch with the campaign.
Awesome. I'm going to go send $500 right now.
Thank you.
Because I want you to win and I believe in what you're doing. And thank you so much for your time today, man. I'm excited for you. I do want to have you back on soon and see how things are going and see if we can beat some more heads in the crypto space to make sure you're getting enough money to do the job.
I really appreciate that. Once again, thank you so much for your time. I am sure we can win this.
Excellent.